All right, Nick. Coming in live, bottom 9 at Yankee Stadium. Can't see a thing. Don't know if I want to, if we're being honest. We need likes. Mouse Cop is on it. We need as many as we can get. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good.
I know, you're doing great. You're doing more than good. Luke Weaver, glad to see he's doing well in his life. Throwing scoreless innings. Can I get out ahead of this? I'm going to say this isn't, regardless if the Reds win or lose, I would have rather or wished that they were ready to pull the trigger on Ashcraft very quickly, considering this is a known thing. And when you have a lead like that, it almost feels like you go all in, Nick, to try to win at least one of these guys. No? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, especially with a day off yesterday.
Yeah, it just felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a fresh pen. But we got a 1-run lead in the 9th. There is that, so.
Yeah.
I won't say another bad thing about Alexis Diaz if he gets this done. Here we go. We're not synced up, but we'll figure it out during this inning. I got a strike.
I just saw the pitch clock come on for a second, then it went off.
13, 12. There, it went away. We're probably our usual 1-2 seconds off.
Yeah. The pitch?
Pitch. Yeah, I got the pitch. It looks like it's a foul ball. Cameraman was all over the joint there. 13. What is up with the pitch clock? They don't want it to come on.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Well, that's nice. That's nice. We got one out. Maybe, to be fair to him, he probably thought no way that he's going to throw a strike. So, I can't blame the guy. Was that a bat boy or bat girl, chat? I'd like my bat boy or bat girl to give a little more effort. I mean, I know the ball's kicking out into right field, but we gotta get a little bit of hustle. Can't just look at the right fielder and make him go get it. It's kind of why you're there. You know, I want him. The right fielder needs to wave them off and be like, "Hey, I'll get it for you. Don't worry." That's an out, right? No way, that's a home run. Okay.
We're good.
All right, got 2 of them, chat. We got 2 of them. I'm riding the wave right now is what they say. Emotions are not high, they're not low. I got to get up early tomorrow, too. So this would be really appreciated by Alexis. Nice pitch, dude. This guy. Throwing. Do it. You can do it. Come on, Nick. What a pitch. That's an out. Somebody take it. What a job by Alexis Diaz. What a job. What a job. I mean, you couldn't have scripted it better. I'm done. Can't say another bad thing about him. Now, that is until next week, but I will say that was impressive. That will not be forgotten by me. That, my friends, is the most smooth save I've ever seen in Alexis Diaz's career, ever. You can't find me an easier one, Nick. You can't.
11 consecutive saves from Alexis Diaz.
Damn. Well, so much for David Bell being on the hot seat, because I think he would have been. But we got a show to do, Nick. It's time to do one.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Landa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Red win! Win! Line to right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Cruz.
That one was kind of weak, if we're being honest. But the win wasn't. Nick, I got to be honest. There was moments in this game where I was a little concerned, but the Reds, they pulled through. It kind of felt, if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be honest, this felt like a game they were going to lose. But they didn't. So I just want to say out loud, this is one of the times where I won't come on this show and say that I knew all along they had it in the bag. But Nick, how are you? I could tell already throughout the ninth inning there that you're locked in and you got things to get done here. You're looking through like 9 internet browsers. Can you at least smile for the chat? Let them know that you're happy.
I'm happy. Big win. Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of people said the Reds might get swept in the series, so at least you knocked that one out right off the bat. So
that's true.
Look, this is a big win. Graham Ashcraft on the mound. This was the one going in. Probably felt the least confident in of the 3 games. A pitcher that you caught a break when you saw him. I think if the Reds had saw Mr. Heel a month ago, probably would have been a little bit of a different result than they got tonight. But they capitalized on a guy that was struggling. It seems like when the Reds have played well of late, they've been capitalizing on the other team's mistakes or guys struggling or, anything like that.
Yeah, 2 guys that capitalized obviously were essentially Will Benson. Big swing. No doubt about it. I know that he struggled mightily this year, but it's a big swing nonetheless. And Elly De La Cruz did Elly De La Cruz things tonight. And it's something about a big city on the very first night of a road trip in a big city that Elly De La Cruz decides to shine. I can't wait to see everybody talking about, look at that guy. He loves New York, just like he loved L.A. I'm just going to say it out loud. The Reds, they got to find a way. They got to find a way. There's no excuse not to extend Elly De La Cruz. No excuse. If you can't extend him, then quite frankly, you don't have the means to be able to own a professional franchise, and that's okay. We're all told at some point we don't have enough money for something, Nick. But I'm just going to say it again to be very clear. If you can't extend Elly De La Cruz, you got to get out of the business. Nick, anything to add here before we jump into the box score recap? I'm going to do some supers right before we do so, but anything that you want to add here before we kind of get going?
No, good win and excited to talk about it tonight.
I got to get ahead of something. I seen obviously Everett's in the chat. There's people in the chat. Like if you're not here all the time, that's more than fine. No problem. I have like 900, an alternative to White Claw, no free ads, in my refrigerator from an event that we had done a long time ago. I got to get rid of them. It feels wasteful just to throw them all away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of them each and every single win. I think I got like 60 of them in there, Nick. So I don't think I'm going to run out this season, but I'd like to. I'd like to run out this season. We'll see. Doubtful, but I'd like to. Ned Flanders says, is this the best start by Ashcraft this season? I don't know. We'll talk about it. It's on the rundown, that's for sure. And Big Z coming in with a bomb. Just found out my wife and I are expecting our first child. Now, he said out because Big Z might have had some drinks tonight, and that's A-okay. It's okay to celebrate. But he meant our. I don't think he meant out. Can't wait to put the little thing in a Reds onesie and tell stories of David Bell being an all-star manager. I don't think he was one all-star coach. Yeah, that is true. Let's not give him too much credit, Big Z. But shout out to you. Congratulations to you and your wife for expecting a little one. Got a few myself. Sometimes will drive you crazy, but at the end of the day, you love them all. All right, Nick. We got another Michael Roth. You know, it's like Michael, Ned, Big Z, and Michael are setting the tone for this show. He says ATOBTTR. If you don't know what that means and this one belongs to the Reds. I promised my wife during Elly's first at bat that he would hit a homer tonight. She said, "Who is that?" She tried to backtrack after, but I don't know if I can stay married to someone that doesn't immediately recognize Superman. It's fair. I suggest you stay. To be very clear, Michael, I suggest you stay. You just got to teach her who Elly De La Cruz is. That's the only player that my 3-year-old knows. So sometimes calls him Elliot De La Cruz. But you know what? We live and we learn. Nick, let's do the box score recap. We got a pretty good show to do. And as always, very much appreciated to everybody in their supers. Michael Roth supers a Big Z. Congrats. That's what Michael Roth does. He just super chats to congratulate other super chats. Nick, box score recap presented by you.
All right, Reds sticking on the Yankees, game 1 of 3 at Yankee Stadium. No score going into the 4th inning. Elly De La Cruz led off the top of the 4th by ripping a ball 105 off the bat down the right field line for a triple. Jimmer Candelario then had an RBI ground out, 1-0 Reds. In the top of the fifth, Stuart Fairchild was hit by a pitch. Will Benson then crushed a 2-run home run to center field, making it a 3-0 game. Jonathan India was then hit by a pitch, and then Elly De La Cruz crushed a 2-run home run to center field, 5-0 Reds. Graham Ashcraft had thrown 5 scoreless innings, but in the bottom of the sixth, he quickly gave up a single, walk, and another single, and his day was done. Nick Martinez came in, and he gave up a double on a 3-2 count to Ben Rice, and just like that, it was a 5-3 game. Then in the bottom of the seventh, Sam Moll gave up a solo home run to the home run hitting king himself, Aaron Judge. That made it a 5-4 game, but Fernando Cruz threw a perfect eighth, Alexis Diaz threw a perfect ninth, and the Reds hang on for a 5-4 win number 40 on the season. Reds now 40-45.
We got a deep drive, baby. We're not going to the Arizona Complex League tonight. We're going to Yankee Stadium, the home of Babe Ruth. And when I say home of Babe Ruth, I'm talking about the old home of Babe Ruth. They were idiots and tore down the old stadium. I don't care what anybody says. They could have figured out a way to renovate the place, but no. You need new shiny toys. So shout out to the Yankees for ruining history. So there's that. Elly De La Cruz, 15th home run of the year. That is crazy. 15th home run of the year, 114 off the bat, 425 feet. Might I add, it was from the right side, so shout out to Elly for that. Reds would take a lead of 5-0. I would say nil, but America doesn't really do soccer well, so I'm going to hold off on that. Win probability jumped 7.9% to 94.3%, which we all knew would turn into 100% for your Cincinnati Reds. The Deep Drive of the day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities and DSC. They are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thank you to John and his team. All right, let's jump into the rundown here. I mean, listen, quite literally, couldn't have asked for much of a better start. I know you have Elly on the rundown here. We'll get to Ashcraft in a minute, but I don't want to bury the lead, I guess, as you would say, Nick. Elly, it seems as if, like I said there at the top of the show, he performs best in front of what I would call big road crowds. I know some are going to say that maybe big crowds in general. I still want to say I'm looking for him to come up in a humongous spot and come through. I am reminded, and I remind people, that Michael Jordan missed a lot of game-winning shots in his career, and then he ended up turning into being one of the most clutch players of all time. So I'm not saying that as a slight to Elly, but I can't wait for the day in which Elly comes up to the plate in a great American ballpark, sold-out crowd, and delivers the goods. Having said that, I went to a road game, Nick, and it was a sold-out crowd. I watched Elly steal every base, and I almost passed out. So shout out to Elly for being electric on the road. I don't know, your overall thoughts? He was just being himself. I mean, basically his speed is ridiculous, and it was nice to see him hit one out from the right side.
Yeah, you almost just kind of expect that in an environment like this that he's going to have a big game. It's kind of cool that he already has, that expectation at 22 years old. And I know people that watch this team every day and see the ups and downs of Elly De La Cruz. I think you can kind of get focused on that, but what he's doing at 22 years old, it's not normal. People get so obsessed with like what Ronald Acuna Jr. did early in his career at such a young age. That's not normal. Most of your favorite players that played for the Cincinnati Reds didn't have a tenth of the amount of success that Elly De La Cruz is having right now at 22, and he's just scratching the surface too. I fully believe that. He's the absolute superstar. You got to find a way to keep him, like we keep saying. He's that great, but he's also on top of that, like transcends your normal great player. He makes people tune on to Reds games that won't. It's just cool to see because there's a lot of Yankees fans, people that live in New York or watch Yankees baseball that have probably heard about Elly De La Cruz, and now they kind of got to see it in a real game that they sat down and watched for the first time. And it gives a different feel when you kind of see that against your team or a game that you were watching that you don't typically watch the Reds.
Yeah, I had seen something the other day. Listen, I think that it's always going to be like that when you're in the local spot, right? Outside of maybe a couple players that you're going to get, like, for whatever reason, you're going to get the most criticism from your own fan base more times than not when you're a superstar. But I would just add or say there was something I seen from a national company that asked who would you bench out of O'Neill, Cruz, Volpe, and Elly De La Cruz, and there was like 10 people that answered that question, and not one single one of them said Elly De La Cruz. So I think if nothing else, it showcases kind of the respect that he's garnished throughout, I guess, from a national audience per se. And I know that there's still some Reds fans that are skeptical, and I'm not here to suggest for a single second that they should start, figuring out his bust or whatever statue you want to call it in Cooperstown. But it's just, I think you take it for granted when you watch it every day. Like that ball he hit down the line, that shouldn't be a triple. Like that's not a triple. It's 314 feet down the right field line. And it was a triple because it was Elly. And it turned into a run immediately because Candelario swings at every first pitch, it seems like, imaginable. Now, again, hand up, Nick. I'm going to do you a homework assignment maybe for another day. I'd like to know what Candelario is basically OPS is or batting average is on an 0-0 count when he swings. It always seems like it's just not great. But having said that, maybe a small sample size. Long story short, he manufactured a run on his own and got the Reds into a lead. And anytime you get a lead in a baseball game, that's obviously ideal. So I don't know if you have anything else to add on Elly. I want to jump into Graham Ashcraft because I think that this is something that's going to be a necessity moving forward because it's the one thing that this team has always consistently relied upon, which is their starting pitching, Nick. And quite honestly, when Lodolo went down, you lose your... I'm hesitant to say best arm anymore. I am hesitant to say that. That's just shout out to Hunter Green, but I would just say arguably, clearly, maybe your best arm in Nick Lodolo, and if it's not, it's damn close and or 1A, 1B. So, you lose him. Ashcraft and Spires are going to have to step it up. It's nice to see Ashcraft. He still has this issue, Nick, getting through kind of like deeper into the game. Kind of like one of those 5 or 6 inning pitchers, and if that's what he is, then I guess that's what he is, Nick. So I don't know if there's anything else that you've seen tonight or what you wanted to add, but he was in the zone, kind of hit some spots, got some big outs, gave his team a chance to win. He did leave the game kind of in a pretty tough spot, but I wish they would have got him out of there sooner, personally.
Yeah, threw his changeup a little bit more. I think he only threw it a total of 3 times, but I think the last start he only threw it once. So he mixed that up a little bit more. He did. He attacked the zone. I'll be honest, coming into this game, I mean, I had pretty low expectations. Graham Ashcraft going up against 2 of the top 3 hitters in the sport. I thought this game had all the writings of a game that could get away from the Reds, and it was the exact opposite. I mean, he got through 5 strong innings. I was with you. I know we were kind of talking about it when we went on live in the 9th. I was like, hey, maybe you should have pulled him earlier. But then I kind of went back and looked. I think the first single he gave up was on the 2nd pitch. Then it was a 4-pitch walk, and then the other single. And so it really kind of just quickly got away, which kind of feels like that kind of happens with Ashcraft.
Yeah, it's almost like be prepared.
South. Yeah, but I mean, it did happen very quickly at the same time. So I don't know. And then Nick Martinez, was dominant outside of the 1 double he gave up that got in 2 runs. So it's kind of just an unfortunate sequence of the events there. But nonetheless, I mean, a really good start from Graham Ashcraft. I don't think I have super high expectations on him going forward. I don't think, I'm all the way back in sold on Graham Ashcraft. But this was a big start for the Reds. The last really difficult series for the Reds before they get into that stretch that we're all kind of hoping and praying can be that stretch where they get really hot. And to get a win in game 1, I mean, that's a big win for this team.
I thought in the 5th inning, Ashcraft pitched around some what I would call some defensive miscues, and I know that everyone's going to be like, "Oh man, you can't come to expect that." Like, this is the big leagues. I thought two of the balls that were hit up the middle, I thought both of them with I'll say good middle infield. Maybe I shouldn't say average, but I would say a good middle infield. And I'm speaking mostly to one guy. I do think that there's some kind of camaraderie that needs to be built between your shortstop and second baseman. I don't know if India and Elly really have that, quite honestly. The communication sometimes on balls up the middle, they're struggling. But it felt like the ball that India kind of backhanded. It was a nice play, yes. But I when you look back at it and you see where he's positioned when the ball is hit, you see how many times the ball bounces. I'm not trying to kill India. He made the play, but I would like that to be a double play, quite frankly. And then there was the ball up the middle that seemingly kind of there was a miscommunication on who was going to take it. I feel like if there was a really good defensive second baseman, or I just should say good, I think that's the truth. I'm trying to defend India as much as possible. Long story short, I thought he got 2 double play balls that neither one of them were made. And, you find yourself in a position where you'd like to get out of that situation. And he did. He did. But Ashcraft, I would just say this about him. Like, you got to have somebody somewhat ready moving on, like fifth inning on. And I'm not saying they need to be hot, Nick, but you got to have somebody at least kind of stretching, getting loose, maybe just tossing. That way, if it does kind of start to snowball a little bit, you're ready to go. You can't get caught with your hands down your pants to a certain extent, like David Bell did today. In my opinion, again, I know it might have been quick, but it felt like this was a series where, I know people hate me for saying this, but if you go in and you win 1, it's not the end of the world. Certainly, if you win 2, you're ecstatic. You got a team that they've won 54 games this year, Nick. Like. That's the other thing I was going to say. You're probably going to run into some trouble at some point against this lineup. You're going to give up 3-4 runs, more than likely, and they did, but obviously they overcame it. It's a long-winded way of me saying I wish David Bell was a little bit more ready on a night like tonight where you got 5 runs, you had a good opportunity to win, he almost let it slip away, in my opinion, of course. But it didn't, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, look, it matters going forward. I mean, you have to be prepared. I agree completely with you. That this was the game that, you get a lead, you got to try to do whatever you can to win it, because you don't know if you're going to be completely honest, the Reds might have another chance where they have even a remote chance of winning the next 2
Exactly.
games. They could completely go south against a team as good as the Yankees. So I'm with you on that. I just would, like I added, it did go quickly. So
yeah,
you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You also can't just constantly have guys getting up and warming and getting hot. There has to be, I think that was like one of the biggest criticisms that David Bell I know got early in the year from things that I've heard, was that he got relievers hot too often, and they felt like that led to overuse and injuries and all that kind of stuff. So it's a tough game, man. I always, whenever you talk about bullpen management, I just think that is the one thing, the one job that a manager has that we only see such a small window of what we perceive as what they can do versus not doing, just because you don't know on any given night who's available. You don't know, who's available but isn't 100%. And so it's often a thankless job trying to manage a bullpen. So you always have to kind of have the caveat. But yeah, you do have to be prepared with Graham Ashcraft. And I completely agree with your sentiment. This is the game you got to try to win.
My expectations shifted as soon as Benson hit the home run, right? And then obviously once Elly hit the home run, then now you're in a spot where it's like, okay, we're all hands on deck. I know it sounds dumb, but I'll empty this bullpen out tonight to make sure that we find a way to win this game. And then whatever the hell happens the next 2 games, it is what it is. Because the last thing I want to see is, you try to get an extra inning out of Ashcraft. And I get it. He was throwing the ball relatively well before that. But if this was a guy that has shown his capability of going deep into games more times than not, then I wouldn't say anything negative about David Bell tonight at all. Not even a single ounce of it. But this is what Graham Ashcraft is, okay? He's going to throw 5 innings, maybe 6 innings. On a great start, maybe he goes more. But I know one thing. If you got a team that you're playing that has 54 wins on the road, and you're looking out there and you see a guy that's just given up 5 runs, and you know the guy that you have on the mound is he's going to run out of juice at some point. I don't give a damn if those guys are upset they're getting hot or not. Guess what? They'll be up there, and I'll have them all hot for tonight because we need to find a way to win. Good news is I want to remind everybody we won, but just going to bring it up because I don't think it's fair to not bring it up just because they won. All right, Will Benson, I'm not going to say he's back. I'm not going to sit here and act as if, this is the game. This is what Will Benson needed. But I am at least, I will say, appreciative of the fact that if Will Benson's going to hit a $190 or a $180 and strike out the league leading strikeouts, Nick, this is what you need on a once every 10 game or 15 game basis or something, whatever that. Well, I don't want to make it sound absurd that he needs to hit a bunch of home runs, but you need to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Simple as that. And I'm glad. Shout out to Will Benson for doing that tonight.
Yeah, seeing some signs of life for Will Benson. I think he had a couple balls that last week that he hit hard, didn't get the results on either. So yeah, I mean, definitely some positives with him. Again, it's a situation where I get the sentiment that, he's been terrible. If you're a serious baseball team, you can't have a guy like Will Benson playing. Yeah. There's just no one better. There's no one that gives you the upside that Will Benson has. So if you care about this season, then I think you want to keep riding out Will Benson and seeing if, he can get hot. Because I fully believe this is a guy that is capable of getting hot. He could do things that other players in this organization just can't do. So, really nice swing for him. A big swing in the game. Completely shifted the whole feel of the game. I think their pitcher, Luis Heel, really talented guy, came in the front runner for the American League Rookie of the Year. You know what? If Will Benson doesn't hit that home run there, does his whole start go a different way? Does he kind of get that and kind of gain that confidence? Because it feels like maybe he's kind of in that spot where he's kind of second guessing himself. That completely flipped the whole game on its head when Will Benson hit that home run tonight.
Well, it also kind of gave a little bit of a relief valve to the chances that they had previously before that they didn't capitalize on, and the Reds were fortunate that they walked a few times tonight, and Martini got himself in a spot where I'm not trying to kill Martini, but my God, man, I mean, I don't know if you're ever going to be in a better spot than you've ever been in at the plate in your life. A guy can't find the zone, he goes 3-0 on you. You take the first 3-0 pitch, that's perfectly fine. But then on the 3-1 pitch, he throws a fastball at like 93 miles an hour right down the middle, and you're late. You're late on it. Now, I don't know. Maybe he was hoping he was going to walk, but whatever. Long story short, Martini flies out, and then you don't get the run in with 2 outs, and you find yourself in a spot where, again, you were 1 pitch away from loading the bases, and it turns out you don't get any runs out of it. So the last thing I'm going to say, Tony brought something up in the chat that I thought is actually fair. And I even thought to myself, for a guy that defends Stuart Fairchild all the damn time, here he goes tonight and decides to make a bonehead move, and I'm screaming and yelling in the car on the ride back home from dinner, because it's like the baseball IQ level on a lot of guys, I don't know where it's at. Not to turn this into a sour show, I just say this one thing. That's a big play. And those are the little things that will ultimately end up mattering in some baseball game. You can rest assured, and it's already happened, quite frankly. But how in the world Will Benson didn't scream and yell at him to throw the ball to second base? Because sometimes it is nice to have an outfielder next to you be your eyes for you. You're making the play. You're trying to get behind the ball. You're looking down. You really can't see it in front of you, clearly. But I'm not taking everything away from Stu. He's got to be smart enough to have an internal clock to be like, I can't throw that guy out at home. There's no chance. Let me make sure I throw the ball to second base and keep the double play in order. It didn't end up mattering because there was a double right after. But point is, having said all that, Will Benson could have been screaming too. Jonathan India could have been screaming too. And Stuart Fairchild could have been smart enough to throw the ball to second base. So that was a big play in the game that didn't end up mattering. But it's the small things that continue to pop up on this baseball team from time to time where you're just like, I don't know. Maybe every team has these problems. Maybe they do. But when you watch them every single day, boy, they become frustrating. All right, jumping into the back half, as always, Game Time. You know, Game Time should do an ad like, what time is it? And they should, you know what I'm talking about? You know, what time is it? Game Time? What time is it? Game Time? I'm not going to do it so I don't make a fool of myself, but most of you know what the hell I'm talking about. Long story short, if you need tickets, speaking of which, Nick doesn't even know this. He's going to have to, maybe we should sidebar this. I got tickets. I'm going to go to a Nashville Sounds game, Nick. Shout out to my son's birthday and having to go on a work trip. Having said that, we'll figure that out after the show. I know Nick's like, oh, God, there goes Trace. He doesn't even tell me anything. But we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it, Nick. Long story short, I went to a place. You know where I went, Nick? Take a guess.
Went to the Game Time app?
That's where I went. Why do you think I went there, Nick?
Well, I'm assuming that you went there because the Game Time app is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and that makes getting tickets even faster and easier because prices on the Game Time app, they actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, and Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 100 to 10% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Cincy, CINCY. The other thing, too, today, I got on socials. Sometimes I get on socials, and I just see what's going on in the world. And today I woke up, and I had like 900 notifications, Nick. I'm like, what is going on? What did I do? Turns out I didn't say very nice things about Wilson Contreras, and I don't take any of it back. I'll double down on it. The guy's a douchebag, okay? Period. Point blank, D-bag city. That's it. All right, I watched it back. I was like, did I overreact? No. Okay, Hunter Green threw a couple fastballs inside. He was like diving into the first couple, and then the last one hit him. So be it. Then you go down the baseline like you're a tough guy. Wilson Contreras might have a problem. You know what I'm saying? He just, seriously, he might have a problem. And I will tell you this: if you don't think I care about everybody, I care about them all. Wilson Contreras, if you need help, you call 988. You can text it. You can call it anytime. If you got some mental things going on, no problem. Mantherapy.org. Okay, Contreras. I know you played for the Cubs. You were sorry there, and by sorry I meant like the team was sorry. And then you went to the Cardinals, and as soon as you got to the Cardinals, this unbelievable franchise that wins all the time, Nick. I mean, they don't ever lose. He goes there, and what do? They suck. And I mean, they don't just suck. They historically suck. So, I don't know. Maybe, sometimes I learned this in school. I didn't learn a lot, but there's something called a common denominator, Nick. Somehow, if things follow you, and you just seem to carry a reputation, and it's always their fault. At some point, you need to stop pointing the finger and pull the thumb. It might be Contreras is the problem. 988, text and call if you need it, mantherapy.org. Shout out to them. And also shout out to the Cardinals fans for really doing us a number here, because we were fighting. We were scratching and clawing, trying to get, what do we call that, monetized on X. And we needed so many amount of impressions, and we were like, oh, God, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. And the Cardinals Nation came to the rescue. So shout out to them. I can't thank them enough. In fact, when I go to St. Louis, I'll tell them they got a dump of a city. But I really do appreciate them getting us monetized on X. That's very nice of them. Having said that, we got Super Chat galore. Nick, you got something to add?
I was just saying, you know what? Honestly, I'm also attached to the account as well, so I get the same notifications. I honestly thought it was refreshing. I was like, it is so nice that we have angry mentions that aren't from Reds fans. It's from another team.
Right.
Bring back fighting with opposing fan bases and not our own. This is wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, they're like, oh, I'm going to cope better. I'm like, dude. I almost went on another rant today, and I was so close to doing it, but I didn't want to disparage our own team. I almost just did it as a bit. I was going to be like, oh, Cardinals Nation, they got a hold of me. They're telling me to cope. Like, we all suck. Are we going to sit here and act like, oh, as Cardinals fans, like, look at you suck too. We all suck. The whole Central sucks outside of the Brewers. I don't know if you've noticed. We're all we're all sitting over here fighting over the basically lipstick on a pig. Like, sincerely. Can you imagine sitting at a bar with a bunch of twos, Nick, and arguing over who's prettier? It doesn't matter. We're all ugly. The whole division's ugly outside the Brewers, and they probably will come back down to life too. I don't know if the Cardinals fans have been watching every single day, but they got some old crusty players that they're probably going to be stuck with their contracts here soon. And on top of that, they're not good anymore. They used to be good. They're not good anymore. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, they're holding a wild card spot. Yeah, they still suck. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's get back to Super Chats and talk about the Cincinnati Reds. Mark Fetters says Cruz and Diaz. That's all. That's all I want to say. That's it. Bullpen is next. That's a good segue for Mark. Ned Flanders coming in again says David Bell's all-star coach must have required behind the background ball catches on our day off. Saved his job today. He did. Shout out. You're obviously talking about Martinez with the behind the back catch. Part luck, part skill. I think that's kind of like hitting a hole in one in golf. You got to be good enough to hit it close, but you got to be lucky enough that it actually goes in the hole. Ned, shout out to Martinez. RD711 says fire Bell, hire Trace. I don't know if that's a good idea. Now, I don't know. That's a bad idea. Michael Rolfe said, my absolute favorite thing is when people criticize Cruz on social media. Most of these Karens can't read anyway. But come on. Damn, what'd Karen do? De La Cruz, not difficult. Thoughts on the half name, knee, and Trey? What? I don't know, Rolfe. I'm going to have to come back to that one.
Was it Nick? Was it Nick that he accidentally put knee? I don't have it in front of me.
No, I mean, you're gonna have to put it in front of you. I can't make that out. Not sure about it. Maybe it's some like celebrity thing he's talking about. I'm not sure. You know how they combine names when they're celebrities. Houston Burger. I hope that's your real name. I like that name. Reds will go 11-5 or better to get 500 or higher in the next 16 games, starting with the Yankees, 7-2 through 7-21. He's marking it down. He's calling the shot. Is the most important stretch of the season. If they do not do that, this city is clearly under the Bo Jackson curse. I'm not putting us under a curse yet. Now, I will say the city's been under what seems like a curse for a while, so we'll see. Michael Rolfe says 322 in the chat, but only 120 likes. Ladies and gents, like the stream. Let's make Trace and Nick famous. They can sign autographs for Big Z's baby. Houston Burger says Wilson Contreras is a 0. Or what? No. Wait a minute. That's over my head. I'm not cultured enough to know what that is. What is that? Chat, I need help here. And then John Randolph comes in with a super with nothing on it. That's his first super ever. John, thank you for supporting the show, but you're allowed to put something in there that goes with it. If you didn't know how to do that, that's okay. Put it in all caps in the chat, and hopefully people shout it out, and I'll figure out a way to say what you want me to say. So shout out to John for his first super. All right, there's a lot to get to here. Still got some good discussion. The show is on after every game, whether we win or not. That is true. Rolf's last super before we start talking baseball again. He says lipstick on a pig equals Molina and Cubs gear for his kids' baseball team. How do you let that happen for your kids' team, Molina? I agree. That's one thing I do agree with. That just can't happen. Did you seen this picture?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to Google it now. I'll put it on towards the end of the show. But okay. Molina's like in legit. He looks like a Cubs player. He's in full Cubs.
Yeah.
Okay, you've seen that
for his son's little league team or something.
Yeah.
I know.
Big Z, it's not. It's this is a kid show. I'm gonna have to wait till it's not a kid. I'm gonna have to wait till it's not a kid show, which is at the end of the show. All right, Big Z. Me and you. I see what you did there. I'm gonna have to save that one. All right, let's jump into it. The bullpen. I mean, what else is there to say about it? I think that it's been unbelievably good all season long. David Bell brings Mole in, obviously, to face Soto. Does an excellent job of getting him out. Had to face Judge. Probably not who you want facing Judge, if we're being completely honest, but it kind of felt like a spot where he didn't want Judge to come up with a chance to tie the game, regardless of who was in, because he didn't want Soto to get on base. So shout out David Bell for using his big brain on that, because it worked. Anything you want to add on the bullpen? Obviously, I already said my piece about Alexis Diaz. Amazing job.
Aaron Judge, doesn't really matter if you throw a righty or a lefty. Like, he crushes both. So Sam Moe actually is one of the guys that gives up the fewest amount of home runs. Of course, it didn't work out today, so I have no problem. Normally, I would say, we want to bring in a right-handed pitcher to face a right-handed batter, but Aaron Judge is just one of those players. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, the job that Cruz and Diaz did, we've been talking about this for months, Trace, when the Reds were really struggling. How, man, we really hope when things, when they do start picking it back up, they do have some good games offensively, that the bullpen can nail it down. And I mean, for Cruz and Diaz to throw perfect innings in Yankee Stadium. And yes, I know they had already got through the toughest hitters in the lineup. But Diaz, they were all if Diaz had given up one base runner, Juan Soto comes up to the plate in the ninth. So by Diaz being efficient, by Diaz, not having that vintage Diaz, walk to lead off the inning, it kept Soto from coming to the plate, and it could have been a completely different game.
Very much so. Chat's on a roll tonight, so shout out to the chat as always. The only guy in this bullpen that concerns me at this point, and I Buck Farmer's name's going to get tossed out there for sure, but I wouldn't even put him in that mix. Really just Suter's the only guy, honestly, at this point. And I know that he's got some decent numbers without question, because at the beginning of this year he threw the ball incredibly well, and it just feels like Suter at this stage isn't going to get too many high leverage opportunities anyways, because Sam Moll's going to take those up if he's available. Justin Wilson's probably going to get the vast majority of opportunities. I know people are going to be like, oh, Justin Wilson's the guy. Like, I thought there's a couple outings where Justin Wilson, it didn't go right. One of those, he didn't get any help from his defense. And I got to be honest, if you got to factor that in as a part of the equation. So it seems like Suter's not even really going to get a chance to pitch in high leverage spots anymore. So I don't even really, that doesn't even concern me a whole lot. So it's all about health, Nick. It's all about health, man. If we can keep these guys relatively healthy, you talked about it time and time again with this bullpen. Let's not burn these guys out. Let's not burn them out. Fortunately, at this point, this stage of the game, we've been A-okay in that category, but not trying to jinx it. So that's what it all comes down to. And there's some guys at AAA that probably you could say deserve at least a chance at some point if, things didn't go well and somebody did get hurt. So it just feels like a spot where we actually, knock on wood, we have a good grasp on things at this moment without trying to jinx it for the 15th time.
Yeah, I can't remember a time where I felt better about the Reds' bullpen depth going into AAA. I mean, like Yasser Zulueta threw 2 more shutout innings last night. He's dominating down there. Tony Santillan's pitched well all year. That if you had to call him up, I think you'd feel pretty good. You still have Alex Young, who's, I think, a big league reliever, has just kind of been the odd man out because he had options. I mean, there's a lot of reason to be really confident in this pitching staff really all together. And I keep saying it. If the Reds are able to make a run here late in the season, it's going to be because the Reds have significantly more pitching depth than the other teams that they're going to be in these races with. And that's what cost the Reds last year.
100%.
Remember, the Reds, they ran out of gas. Their bullpen ran out of gas. Their starters really never had any gas last year, but that's what caught up with the Reds. And you feel like this year, at least in that department, you are as prepared as you could possibly be going into July.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt that this is it's just whether or not this offense can find a way to be semi-consistent. That's what this comes down to. And we know that there's a lot of holes right now that quite frankly need to get better, but we'll find out if they do. You've said it time and time again. Will Benson's a guy that could flip on if he can turn a corner and play the way in which I wouldn't even say he needs to play the way he played towards the end of last season, where he was one of the best players in the entire National League. We just need serviceable players, We don't need anything extraordinary, but we need Marte to play well, and we need Benson to play well. And I know that everyone's going to jump and say, well, Stuart Fairchild this, Stuart Fairchild that. If I get the same type of production I get out of Fairchild in general for the rest of the season out of him, I'm going to live with that because I don't have a high expectation coming into the season. And then, I don't know who's going to ultimately fill in the role in left field. I guess maybe Steer, but, I don't know. You need Candelario to continue to play relatively well. So we'll see. It is nice to see Cubs lose. Brewers, they are currently down 2-1 in the 7th inning as we speak right now. And the Cardinals, they beat the Pirates 7-4. So, unfortunately, when the Cardinals and the Pirates play, not everybody in the division can lose. But 3 of the 4 teams in the division losing would be kind of nice. So we shall see what ultimately holds. Hopefully the Rockies can find a way to hold on, although I wouldn't Wouldn't bank on it.
No,
Anything?
The Padres lost 7-0, so the Reds did pick up a half game. The Reds are now chasing the Padres as opposed to the Cardinals. The Cardinals only a half game ahead, but the Reds did pick up a half game today, so four out.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's a little too early to scoreboard watch, to be very clear. It's more or less at this point the Reds trying to find a way to get back to around 500, because I think it's safe to say, Nick, that 500 is going to be the last few days of the season, and you got a chance to be in 100%. 100%. If it's similar to last year, it feels like if you have 82 wins, maybe it might take 83, but I doubt it. It seems like almost 81 might get you in. I don't know at this point. Who knows? I know you're laughing because you're saying no way.
It's possible.
It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, we're talking about a Cardinals team, quite frankly, that's not great. I mean, you've spoke on it before. At some point, will the run differential catch up to them? Because they clearly are winning a lot of either close games and then getting the doors beat off of them, quite frankly, when they lose. So will that hold up? I don't know. Maybe it will, but I doubt it. So I don't. Do you expect the Brewers to I don't want to say collapse, but do you expect the Brewers to come back down to earth at all? Like, they're not this good. Do we agree they're not this good?
Yeah, no, there's no chance that this good. I expect them to come down to earth, but they've built up so much of a margin
lead
for error now at this point that
right, and they're not the Cubs.
Again, if this Reds team I felt great about, or if really any of the teams in the NL Central, like if you thought, man, the Cubs, they're gonna really pick it up.
The Cubs will always blow it, Nick. Let's just be clear. The Cubs will find a way to blow it. They did it last year. They'll do it again. They're the Cubs. They'll always be the Cubs. Don't ever forget it. But go ahead. Your point is rooted in intelligence.
That's what I'm saying. All of the other teams, I don't think any of them are capable of being great outside of something unforeseen coming. So that's why I just don't think the Brewers are going to give it up. It's not necessarily as much about the Brewers as it is about, I don't know if there's another team in this division that's really capable of going on enough of a run. The Cardinals are maybe the only team just because they're so much closer than everyone else. But I mean, the Cardinals pitching depth is not good. I've said that time and time again. Their top guy is Sonny Gray, who doesn't have really that much different of injury history in recent years than some of the other guys that we consider injury prone, right? I mean, so he's, they're one injury to Sonny Gray away from really kind of having an uphill battle in the second half. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, I mean, it's really, I think, a race to like 84 wins. You get to 84 wins, you're probably going to be the team that gets it.
84. I think it's going to be 82, personally, get you in. I really do. I think that's what's going to be. All right, I got some supers to get to. I'm going to give you an opportunity at this very moment that if you got kids, they shouldn't really get it because I'm going to do it in a way in which keeps it a kid's show. But, just forewarning you, these folks, they are loyal. They have super chatted, and I will read their super chat, except unless it's very, 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 very inappropriate. But I think these kind of get through. Big Z said he's trying to help me out with the super chat from before with Wilson Contreras and it basically has two brackets put together. I'm going to do it. He said it's a female body part. Wilson Contreras is a Victor, Allen, Greg, Indigo, Nancy, Anita. That's what he said. So shout out to Big Z. John says Cruz is an animal. We are on a plus run differential. If we get a hitter at the deadline, we will make the playoffs. I don't know, John. I don't know. There's a lot of holes in this offense. I don't think it's one guy. Now, I will openly admit, Nick, if you get a big-time outfield bat that's a right-handed hitter, which I don't know if those grow on trees, and I don't know if they're going to be available at the trade deadline, if we're being completely honest, because there's only a couple sellers, it will allow you to kind of start to do the whole platoon thing again, to maybe give some other guys an opportunity to start playing better to where they don't have to play on an everyday basis. It stretches those guys out. It helps those guys out more than anything, and in turn, it helps out the Reds, right? If you don't have Will Benson facing left-handed pitching, if you don't have Stuart Fairchild facing right-handed pitching, then you can get yourself in a spot where And again, I guess Jake Fraley, hopefully he comes back and, decides to play some. The thing with Fraley is, and I hate to get on him because he's actually been serviceable. He just has no power. I don't know. I have no idea. That whole thing's weird. Do you think that we already talked about this. You have anything to add to that super chat?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's available. That's the hard part. I don't know who's available from the outfield. I mean, I think you could certainly look at also getting someone maybe with some upside that could maybe be like a shot in the arm, maybe not like a sure thing. But you might be able to make a trade for someone that, a team's just kind of looking to move on from, maybe a right-handed bat. I mean, honestly, like Stuart Fairchild, like the Reds. Stuart Fairchild was a guy the Reds claimed off waivers, so there might be someone I don't know, that's a step above that.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Harrison Bader.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously that didn't work out for the Reds last year, but Harrison Bader would almost be the perfect example of where Harrison Bader was last year. Finding that type of player, I think, would make the most sense to the Reds as opposed to trying to go, mortgage everything for Brent Rooker or something like that, where it's just okay, like a guy like Brent Rooker, he strikes out a ton. Is he going to come over and just completely fall on his face for 2 months? And then you're like, well, we tried, right? I mean, I almost would rather take a little bit more of a risky guy that I don't really have to give up a lot for if that type of player is available.
I know this might shock some people. I think it's unfortunate that Arroyo got hurt because ultimately that makes his value significantly less than what it could have been or some would say should have been. But if the mindset is that you have Elly De La Cruz and you are going to extend him, now I know, Nick, that there's a chance that Elly just decides that he doesn't want to get married, right? He's just going to leave the Reds at the altar. He's not going to sign a contract no matter what. Juan Soto's basically what he did to the Nationals. There's a chance that happens, I guess. I don't want to believe it. I know there were some people in the chat that just said in the Jim Day interview, he said he wanted to be a Yankee. I hope that's not right. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive here. But you could convince me that if you are going to, basically extend Elly De La Cruz, you can maybe move on from one of the higher end prospects that you might think plays infield just because you say, you know what, we're going to take the risk because we expect to kind of have this as a crowded bunch moving forward. But again, when Elly, if Elly didn't sign and then Arroyo turns out to be some all-star player, you're going to be kicking yourself for doing it. But having said that, we know it as much as anybody, Nick. These guys are prospects until they get here, and you just never know. You never know because Spencer Torkelson is a good example of you used the other day. Number 1 pick, goes to Detroit. Honestly, gets off to a pretty damn good start, Nick, in Detroit, and then just kind of fizzles out, and now they're trying to figure out if he's even going to be a part of the future. So you just never, ever know. Michael Rolfe then says, come on, guys. I use half of each of your name. N-I-C-K and T-R-C-E. That is our name, Michael. Just like idiots use Cruz, which is half of Elly's last name. So you want him to say De La Cruz. I get what you're saying now. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Does that bother you, Cruz? Or does that bother you, Rolfe, that they only say Cruz? It doesn't me because it's just like De La Cruz is a lot. I don't know. Nick, you got anything to add to that?
No.
ELDC, I feel like, is what he's going to be.
That's what when I do my notes.
EDLC.
Myself, I do ELDC for everything.
EDLC.
ELDC.
No.
Maybe I do it wrong. Now
I think you do it wrong because I just
do it wrong.
figured out in my head that it's EDLC. Yeah, we have to check on that, Nick. Shame on you. Shame on you, Nick. Your guy. You're messing it up. Craig, what do we got here? I'm sorry. Ned Flanders says the Cubs lose. Fly the L. That's great. Nothing wrong with that. Mark Fetter says the CBOX Reds on after every game. He's not wrong. And then Craig chimes in. He says Votto had 3 hits and 2 RBIs in the penal league. He didn't say that, but I did. Can you tell me with a straight face you'd rather have Martini DHing over Votto or Steer DHing and Votto at first? Just saying. Craig. Come on, bro. Come on. We're not doing this tonight, are we? He's been out all year, man. He's been hurt. He's can probably continue to be hurt. We've seen what he did last year. I love him. He's going to have a statue, but you can't sign a guy that you might have to cut that's going to be in your Hall of Fame. Craig knows this. Is Craig trolling us?
I think he's trolling us. I don't know. He might be trolling me personally. Because
listen, I mean, Martini's not ideal, but come on, Nick. Like,
I might give Martini my Will Benson to a lesser extent. Believe rant. I think Nick Martini is going to get hot at some point. I think he's the kind of hitter that's capable of having a big 2-3 week stretch. We've seen it before. This guy went down to AAA and absolutely. Yeah, I'm kidding.
Don't let me get you off track, Nick. I was just having fun. I just, there's some little truth behind it. But go ahead, Nick.
But no, I think Martini's got a good run in him. I think he's gonna have a good run at some point. I know he's like kind of a lightning rod, but I don't know. I think he's capable. I think he is. And again, there's just not better options right now. I mean, if you could find someone on the waiver wire or the trade deadline, sure, but I don't know. I think Martini's capable of getting hot.
I hope so. Rolf again, dude. Rolf is like he's basically become the all-time super chatter of Chatterbox Reds. In 2024, we have 2 grandpas/dinosaurs running for president. That's not my words. That's Rolf's, to be very clear. I just Ron Burgundy that. I probably should start reading these before I just start blatantly saying them directly into the microphone. But he did say it's 2024. We have 2 grandpas and dinosaurs running for president. If you could pick any member of the Reds to run for president, Nick and Trace, who would you pick and why? I'd pick Brent Suter's smile. Scares me. He gets my vote. We're just going off of charisma, right? Like, I'm going to go with Will Benson. Seems like the easy answer.
Well, I think Hunter Green. I think Hunter Green is an underrated.
That is a good one. That's a really good one.
Steady, calm presence. He has Hunter Green has to talk to the media a lot more than Will Benson, because he obviously has to talk after every start. And I always feel like Hunter Green's very measured in his thoughts. Hunter Green would get my vote.
All right. I don't hate that one. That's actually pretty good. I'm impressed that I didn't. I'm impressed that you said you came up with that one quickly. Houston Berger coming back in said, getting off the goofy stuff. How mad is 700 WLW, the big one, that they didn't start an early morning sports show before you? Y'all are killing it. It's so annoying that guys like Lance never question the Reds. That's a super chat. I didn't say it. That's his 10th super chat. 10th live stream super chat. Shout out to Houston. I actually don't mind Lance. It's just that when you do a sports talk show every single day like he does, sometimes it just becomes you got to do something. And for whatever reason, Stuart Fairchild's become his whipping boy, and I just got tired of it a little bit. I got tired of it the other day. So, shout out to Lance, but he's just not much of a Stu guy. Stu Fairchild is not the problem on this team. There's a lot of other problems that have happened this year, and it's not Stuart Fairchild's fault. Why? Because I think if you put Stuart Fairchild on the Brewers, Nick, I tweeted this out. If you put Stuart Fairchild on the Brewers and you started him in center field every single day, the Brewers still have 50 wins. So, just saying.
It's true.
So
it's true. President Buck Farmer. I like President Buck Farmer. I like that, Rick.
Man, I don't know. Buck Farmer seems like a guy that might have a tough time winning Wisconsin. We need him to win Wisconsin. Just saying. Ned Flanders, I'm voting for India because I always wanted Frank Zappa to be the president. This show's stupid. Max Bryan says, do you think Ashcraft was ready from AAA? I think that there's definitely a humbling experience getting sent back to AAA, and it can make you appreciate working hard. And he wasn't like he wasn't working hard, but it definitely can give you a sense of motivation, Nick. I would say that. Now, whether it mattered or not, I don't know. It's not like his first start back from AAA was unbelievable, so I think Ashcraft is who he is. He's going to give you a good start from time to time. He's a fifth starter, and moving forward, he probably ends up at the bullpen at some point.
And not to take away from what Ashcraft did tonight, because what I think he did tonight was it was really great. There also might be something to the fact that the Yankees are a team that hasn't seen Graham Ashcraft a lot. Where Graham Ashcraft stuff, when you're the St. Louis Cardinals and you saw Graham Ashcraft,
right,
5 times over the last couple of years, his stuff looks a lot better to a team that doesn't see him all the time. So I think there might be some of that as well. Unless he can learn a little bit more deception with his pitches. Obviously, they've emphasized him throwing his changeup a lot more. Still only threw it 3 times tonight. So if he's able to, make that an effective actual pitch that he can consistently go to, then maybe he can actually be a starter. But I continue to just lean towards, I think he's eventually going to be a bullpen guy that maybe kind of floats back and forth between starting.
All right. Last super chat that we haven't got to yet is John Randolph. He says Elly and McLean for president. They'd have a good chance. That's a good dynamic there. They got some good vibes. Those guys are always it saddens me that that's not our middle infield. I don't know. It just sucks. I mean, it does. I watched an interview of Elly De La Cruz doing obviously his interview in English. And, so I say that in saying that I think that there are times where he tries to say something. He might just say it very bluntly, but he doesn't have the skill set yet to do it like in a politically correct way. So you just get the blunt, honest answer. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this lady asked Elly. She said, what's the strongest part of your game? And he goes, I think a lot of things. So I was like, hell yeah, Elly. Hell yeah. But he ended up saying his speed, and that the thing that he wanted to work on the most, I believe, was basically switch hitting, I think is his answer or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't anything crazy. But anyway. All right, Nick, you got anything? I got a couple supers at the very end of the show, but we need to get into Reds MILB, and we need to jump into the old who, what, when, where, and why.
All right, Reds MILB. We'll start off with AAA, where the Louisville Bats, they fell 8-2 to Indianapolis tonight. Bats 41-41 on the season. Jacob Hurtubise, he did get on base twice. Good to see. Also stole a bag. Blake Dunn 1 for 4. Connor Capel hit a home run tonight. And then Christian Roa, okay effort, I guess. 3 innings, 3 runs. Did strike out 6, only walked 1 batter. AA, Chattanooga.
Austin.
They fell 7-2 to Tennessee. Lookouts now 22-55 on the season. Austin Hendrick 0 for 4. Dominic Vitelli 1 for 4. Ruben Ibarra, he had 2 hits, and then Jose Torres 2 for 4 with a home run tonight. I don't know if anyone actually reads the bottom bar at the beginning, but I apologize to anyone who accidentally read Jose Torres hit his 30th home run of the year. I accidentally put a 0 on there. Jose Torres did not hit his 30th home run. He hit his 3rd. But I'm guessing no one actually pays attention to that. All right, down to High A, Dayton Dragons. They won 4-0 over Lake County. This is a team that actually has really dominated the Dragons, so back-to-back wins for them. Dragons are hot right now. They've won 7 of 8. They're now 41-36 on the year. Sal Stewart 1 for 4. Stole a bag as 8th of the year. Collier and Rodriguez each had hits. Big day from Carlos Jorge. He was 2 for 4 with a triple. And then Cade Hunter, he had a really great day, 2 for 2. Hit his 5th home run of the season. Down to High A, Daytona, they lost 5-1 to St. Lucie. Tortugas now 36-40 on the year, but they are right in the middle of the second half playoff race. That'll be fun to see. Maybe Daytona and Dayton can both find a way to get in the playoffs this year. But Sammy Stafura 0 for 4. Yerlin Confidant, he got off to a brutal start this year, but he's playing better of late. 2 for 3, had a pair of doubles. And then Alex Blandino. Sorry, Alex, I got to get your picture. Didn't have time tonight. 3 innings, 3 shutout innings tonight. Just 1 hit. They walked 2, but struck out 3. So I know that the highlights, I saw that posted on Twitter. I haven't got a chance to look through it, but you better believe I will be going through and watching all 3 innings from Alex Blandino later this evening. All right, over in the Dominican Summer League, The DSL Rojas lead the DSL Cleveland Grill 3-1. The game got suspended in the top of the fifth. Adolfo Sanchez is 0 for 2. Nabiel Mariano walked. Jervin Muriallo, who's been hot, got the day off. Must have been some rain out in the Dominican because the other DSL team, DSL Reds, they're up 1-0 over DSL Royals Ventura. That also got suspended in the top of the fifth. And then currently in action, the Arizona Complex League, the ACL Reds lead the ACL Dodgers 3-0. Shang-In Lin is 1 for 3 so far in the game. That is your Reds MILB.
Houston Burger with a bomb. Coming in hot with a bomb about, like, I don't know, right before I almost interrupted you mid MILB, not MLB because they would be big leaguers. We're doing the MILB report. Regardless, Houston Burger coming in. I got Bryce in a second. He said, last super chat, Uncle Jim Bean got me. No refunds, Houston. No refunds. Can we have a quick 5-minute discussion on what it takes to keep Elly? Yeah, we'll do that in a minute. Bryce Sizemore says, yo, Nick, Donovan Mitchell is not leaving. But as far as the Reds, let's get a series win tomorrow. Rolf says, our dude Reds Daily just posted on X a picture of Elly next to Judge. I've never seen Elly look so small before that picture. So I might dig that up. I'll show the crowd. Let's just jump into this. What does it take to keep Elly? I mean, it takes money. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious and try to be like kind of like it requires a significant amount of money. And I think that's the way this game's going. Do you remember when Patrick Mahomes signed his contract in the NFL? And I remember vividly when I heard the contract details when they announced them. And I thought, there's just no way. There's no way that financially can make any sense. Like, it just, I don't care how good you are. That doesn't make sense. But what you fail to forget, more times than not, and maybe there's a bubble. There might be a sports franchise bubble that eventually busts. And these kind of worth, the amount that these franchises are quote-unquote worth, their value, maybe are significantly higher than what they actually are, right? Like if the Castellinis decided to sell tomorrow, would they actually get the amount that they're said that the franchise is worth? I don't know. But what does seem to be very apparent moving forward as you get into these contract discussions, and I think it's why the Dodgers did what they did with Ohtani, is because at some point, and this isn't a political statement, it's more or less just trying to be honest. There's inflation involved with our dollar, and the truth is that in 20 years, what did these contracts actually look like, Nick? Like what is that amount of money? Because if you went back 10 years or 15 years before today, you would be flabbergasted at the amount of money that guys are signing for. So I would say take the chance, go for it. Assume that if nothing else, that the franchises are going to continue to become more and more valuable. And at the end of the day, like I said before, you're going to have to put it up. So you might as well just get ready for it, and you just go all in and you do it, Nick. And if there's one franchise, one ownership group, this is maybe the main takeaway that I have, Nick, on this Elly thing. If there is one ownership group that absolutely has to go above and beyond to do something, to win a fan base over, if you want to call it that, it's this ownership group. We know what has been said in the past. We know the dynamics in this city and how the city feels about that kind of ownership organization already. I'm not saying it would win the fan base completely over, Nick, but I do remember, like I said, I've said before, I do remember what this city used to say about Mike Brown, right? I 100% remember, and it wasn't very nice things. But all of a sudden, they get Joe Burrow. You win a bunch of football games, you find yourself in the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden Mike Brown's not so bad anymore. I'm just saying if the Castellinis, they extend Elly, they put a lot of money down in doing that, they find a way to start winning some baseball games, hopefully. Maybe they, I don't know, perhaps just get themselves a playoff series win. That would be cool. I think that the notion or basically the perception of the Castellinis would change overnight. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the Bengals, but I'm not so sure it'll change overnight because I think there's a few bad actors in Cincinnati that'll continue to perpetuate anything they can to
Nobody
get some
listens to those people
negativity.
anyway. So those are the
Oh,
people
they
that
shouldn't. They shouldn't.
they pick it on the. You ever seen those crazy people that have signs and they stand outside the government buildings and they're asking for people to petition and sign for something and everybody just doesn't care? That's kind of those people that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's how I feel. To the original contract, though, I mean, I think you had to start and probably end with Fernando Tatis Jr. I think that's probably the best logical path. He signed 14 years, 340 million. When Tatis signed it, he was 20. He was entering his age 22 season. Elly De La Cruz, if he signed it this offseason, would be entering his age 23 season. Tatis was better than Elly when he signed that deal. I mean, he finished fourth in the MVP voting in 2020. I mean, he had a 937 OPS, 969 OPS. Now he doesn't have the stolen base capability. That he's not as good of a base runner. He's definitely nowhere even close to a fielder, at least at shortstop. As remember, he was a pretty poor defensive shortstop. That's why they moved into the outfield. So it's got to be around that ballpark. I don't think contracts have gone up that much since then. So I think you're looking at under 400 million. But for me, the most important key would be the average annual value. I could care less if it's a $300 million deal, if it's a $2 billion deal, as long as the average annual value isn't that high, and the Reds can still build a team around Elly. That's what matters to me. And I think you can do that. I think you just stretch it out as long as you possibly can. But, Elly might be looking for something a little bit different. There's been other guys like Julio Rodriguez with the Mariners who they did a really crazy structured contract with so many different layers to it. Maybe Elly De La Cruz looks for that, where Elly De La Cruz can have some opt-outs in it. That might be something you have to offer him. But I don't know. Anything you can do to keep this guy longer than the 6 years that you have him, I think you have to do it. Because this is a generational type player. If Elly De La Cruz doesn't pan out, the Reds probably aren't going to pan out. I hate to say that, but that's the honest truth. So take your shot here. This is one of these times that you take your shot, you go all in on Elly De La Cruz, and I don't think they'll regret it.
I hope not. Find out. And they got some time to figure it out, but at the same time, I don't know if they really do. Because I think the longer you allow this to move forward, the closer he gets to free agency, unrestricted free agency. It's just too easy to test the market. And I think that the biggest thing, I know this sounds kind of corny maybe, but I think the biggest thing with Elly is if he can find a way, or we can find a way to where Matt McLain comes back and he has a really good buddy that's kind of his age, and you can kind of convince them that they're a package deal and that you'd like to extend them both. I know McLain's kind of definitely a huge risk right now to try to get into those conversations about. But like I said before, Nick, I don't know. You have to pull on Elly's heartstrings a little bit, and you got to sell yourself. I mean, the Reds should 100% be in the driver's seat. I don't give a damn what anybody says. If I was the Reds, I'd remind him every single day that they were the ones that went down in the middle of the Dominican, found him when nobody else gave him a chance. They gave him an opportunity, and he's made the most of it. Yes, but they would like to pay. They would like to pay market rate, whatever it takes to get him to sign on the dotted line and make him a Red for basically his entire career. All right, moving forward here. I know I have to get up incredibly early, and you have a podcast edit, which means that you're going to be up late. If you've not downloaded the podcast, give it a rating or review, please do so. I know many people watch this show. Maybe you don't listen to the podcast in the morning. Check it out every so often. And or, you know what, if nothing else, just pop it on. Nick, I don't know if it hurts us if they only listen to it for like 10, 15 seconds if they don't want to listen to it at all, but at least it would give us a download. So I don't know. I don't know what the win ratio is on that, but, if you want to help us out, at least give the podcast a listen.
You know what you could do if you really love us is on your way out the door in the morning, say, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want it to start, but ALEXA. If you have one of those, say play Chatterbox Reds on Apple Podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And just let it play while you're gone. It'll play all the way through. We'll get some stuff. I don't do that personally because I would never manipulate the system. I don't actually do that in my house ever. But hey, that would be a way you could help us. It takes 2 seconds of your time on the way out the door.
I love that. That's fantastic. All right.
I think there is something. I think there is something in the algorithm though with that of time listened.
Yeah, they want people that listen
for the charts. They don't just. It's not. I don't think it's clicks. So.
Okay.
I don't think I'd recommend everyone just go click it for 5 seconds. I think that might actually be like, yeah, no one actually likes this show. A lot of people click on it. They're curious and they listen for 5 seconds. We're not recommending that show to anyone else.
All right, let's get through these final supers. We got a who, what, when, where, and why, and we got to get out of here. Rolf, he said, "Who is Mouse Cop? Reveal his identity." I thought it was Reed Mouse. We deserve the truth. It is not Reed Mouse. No, Mouse Cop is not Reed Mouse. I have met Mouse Cop. Dare I say, a pretty good guy. Pretty good guy. But it's not him. Mark Fetter says, shout out Randy. He's got to be talking about Gillespie. Got to be talking about Gillespie. If he's not talking about Gillespie, I'm going to say it's a Gillespie. So shout out to Randy Gillespie. He's in this chat. He's an OG. Been on this chat. He's an OTB kind of guy too. Randy Gillespie, all around, great nut cutter is what we'll call it. Houston Burger. Houston, you said it was the last super chat like 5 super chats ago. But you know what? I'm all for it. I mean, you're the man right now. Houston Burger, you've taken over the show. Get the stream to 200 likes, ladies and gents. Don't let Nick and Trey sleep. 185 right now. 185. John Randolph said, pay that man his money. And he's talking about Elly De La Cruz. John Randolph said, isn't Elly's agent insane? Elly's agent's Boris. We've talked about this. I think the thing about Boris is just, I don't know. I mean, everyone always gives him the credit like, oh, God, you can't get anything done. He's gotten deals done with his other guys before, and he just got absolutely his teeth kicked in this last offseason. So I don't really think. I know it sounds crazy, but it feels like Boris has kind of lost a step. You know what I'm saying? He's Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards right now.
And Boris was both Moustakas and Castellanos' agent, right? I mean, the Reds.
He owes us one. He owes us one.
Yeah, it's not like the Reds have never made a deal with Scott Boras either.
Yeah. So let's not let that get our hopes down. All right. Guys. Rolf. I would love to see McClain next to Judge. It would be like Muggsy Bogues next to Dikembe Mutombo. Rolf. You're the man.
I just
Nick,
like to see McClain on second base.
I'd like to see McClain playing baseball. That'd be great. Nick, who, what, when, where, and why? We got to get to the end of the show. We're an hour and 22 minutes in, Nick.
Oh, my gosh. Time flies when you're having fun. All right, tomorrow, Wednesday night, another 7:05 start time for the Yankees. It'll be the lefty Carlos Rondon. Comes in 9-5, 4.42 ERA, 4.54 FIP. Rondon now in his 10th big league season. Rondon, like Heel tonight for the Yankees, comes in struggling. Last 3 starts, 0-3, 13.17 ERA. He's given up 28 hits in 13 2/3 innings. So hopefully the Reds catching another pitcher on at the right time. Rondon relies on 5 pitches these days: a 4-seamer, slider, changeup, cutter, and curveball. Fastballs at 95 miles per hour. You might remember he was the number 3 overall pick back in 2014. He signed a 6-year, $162 million contract with the Yankees in December of 2022. He's pitched very well against the Reds, 2-1, 2.76 career ERA in 3 starts. However, he has not faced the Reds since 2022. And the active Reds, not pretty numbers against Rondon, 3 for 25. Candelario is 2 for 15. Espinal, who you would expect in the lineup against the lefty tomorrow, is 1 for 4. And then Fraley, India, and Maley each 0 for 2. All right, for the Reds, Andrew Abbott, 7-6, 3.41 ERA, 4.98 FIP, continues to outpitch for a second year in a row his peripheral numbers. Last time out through the ball, I thought okay. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, but walked 6 batters. That was a career high for him. But remember, he was supposed to throw to Tyler Stevenson. but a minute before the game was a late scratch because Stevens, of course, got put on the paternity list. So who knows how much that messed him up or not. Abbott's never faced the Yankees. The only active Yankees that have faced him are 3 for 10. Most of that is Juan Soto's doing. He's 2 for 3. J.D. Davis, who we didn't see tonight, I would expect him in the lineup. He's 1 for 2. Grisham is 0 for 3. So, Trace, the Reds have won 12 of their last 14 series, the first game.
Oh.
Just, I don't know.
It's crazy. It genuinely is crazy how many times this team has found a way to win the first game of a series and not close it out. Now, we all are well aware of how good the Yankees are. This is one of the teams that maybe you could kind of understand why you weren't able to close a series out. Many of the other ones I can't say that about. However, you got a guy going tomorrow with Montas, every bit as motivated as anybody could possibly be going back to New York, because I can guarantee you there were not many nice things said about Montas when he was in New York. Quite frankly, he's similar to Luke Weaver with the Reds. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that those two guys kind of have a similar experience, except New York's a little bit bigger than Cincinnati. And the noise in New York, quite considerably different than, Cincinnati. That's why I never feel too overly bad when the media gets on certain players in this town, because it's a pretty much of a dusting compared to what you get in New York. So shout out to the Yankees fans for getting on Montas. Hopefully he's able to kind of shove tomorrow in more ways than one, and he can basically put it right down the old Yankee fans' throat. We'll see. Who knows? We shall find out. The reality is, Nick, we got things to do, and we got places to go. Tomorrow, this is late breaking news. I'm going to have to figure out a situation for Nick. If Nick can't find a replacement, I'm going to be in a hotel. That's okay. That's fine. I'll do the show. I can do the show. If you can't find a replacement, I am going down to, where is that? Fort Campbell, I think, Kentucky. And I got to go to a video board event, and then I'm going to go to a Nashville Sounds game for my son's birthday. So I don't know if there's any MILB reports on whoever the hell the Sounds are and whoever the hell else they're playing. I don't know, but I'll do some digging. I'll let you know. Hopefully I can see someone like Alex Blandino or something trying to resurrect a career, even though I know he's like in Tortugas.
He only needs to go 3 levels up.
Yeah, no big deal. But all right, nonetheless,
you get to see the Brewers take on the Cardinals affiliate. Brewers and Cardinals affiliates.
Great.
There you go. Here's
So,
Jordan Walker.
Jordan
You're gonna see
Walker.
Jordan Walker.
Plays for the Sounds.
No,
he
plays
plays
for
he plays for Memphis. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Who's the Sounds organization? You know, off the top of your head?
The Brewers.
The Brewers. You just told me that.
Your
I'm an
team-
idiot. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
How the hell's that add up? Anyway, that's a whole story for another day. That seems stupid. Nashville for the Brewers? I don't know. Whatever. All right, Nick. Let's do it. You got something to showcase here. You're gonna have to you gotta get prepared here, Nick. Come on. Let's go. Nice.
Not upside down. I don't know if that's good or not.
Yeah, no one knows at this point. Let's just see if you break something. That's my goal. Not at all.
It was like a spring or something.
Fair enough.
There was something going
I couldn't
on
hear
back
it.
there.
I couldn't hear it. All right, final supers. I got to get to them. We're going to get to them right now. Any supers after that, no guarantees. Can't do them. No guarantees. Outro, play. Thank you. All right, let's get to it. John Randolph said is Boris McLean's agent. I think we just did that. Yes, he is. Houston Berger. Boy, is Houston. He is enjoying himself tonight. Houston, I hope you don't wake up tomorrow and you wonder what the hell are all these charges from YouTube tomorrow. That's what I hope. Like, what the hell happened last night? 11 more likes. Do it now. In fact, it's only 3 more. He says, he super chats again and says 4 more likes. Like it now. We're at 197. That's pretty much a guaranteed $200 by tomorrow, but he wants $200 for the live. We shall find out. I got a dunk to do, and we'll see what holds tomorrow. Until then,
Craig confirmed tomorrow. Craig confirmed tomorrow.
Craig tomorrow. I'm going to dunk a basketball. Go Reds. Shout out Viking helmet guy. I'm broke, but I still love y'all. See ya.